My people, it is a very painful thing to remember Asaba Massacre. Asaba Massacre, seeking healing. A lot of Nigerians don't know what happened. 7th October 1967, a lot of atrocities happened in the land of Asaba. Nigerian soldiers committed a lot of atrocities.
Say non the meeties. That is goodbye till we meet no more.
During Biafra war, Nigerian soldiers gathered all the male child and adults in Asaba and massacred them all. They killed many people. They killed both to adults, all the male child for inside Asaba.
1970. Anya biaka ije zuta ndi aya Nigeria. Bia bulegwu. Anya mara na obo a game of death ka iba n'ime ya.
In remembrance of Asaba Massacre, on the 7th October 2022, we be sit at home in entire Biafra land. On that day, it is expected that all schools, all markets, all churches, all banks will shut down for the remembrance of Asaba Massacre. Anybody will hear my voice, making talk to him brother, making talk to his sister, making one in children, making one everybody, where they close to them. This order is coming from Biafra spokesperson Simon Ekpa. Asina nti adaharu ihe ebubisi ise soloya intiminsi. Any ear, when they hear word, as they cut head in, as when they go cut ear, full
They open fire. Where will you go? Machine gun, Gahube our people. And they were slaughtered in thousands.
Welcome, my amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are joining from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much, and remember.
Thank you. Dr. Joe is the country director of DAI, an international development company that works with governments, donor agencies, private corporations, and philanthropies in over 100 countries. Before joining DAI in September 2017, Dr. Abba was the Director General of the Bureau of Public Service Reforms in Nigeria, where he emphasized the need for public sector reforms to focus on tangible improvements in the lives of citizens and not just administrative reforms. He led improvements in the processing of driver's licenses, international passports, tax clearance certificates, and national identity management. He also led the institutional reform of dozens of agencies and parastatals. Prior to returning to Nigeria in 2003, he worked in various public sector organizations in the UK, including the Prime Minister's Office of Public Sector Reforms. Dr. Joe is an internationally recognized expert in governance and institutional reforms, political economy analysis, and change management. Joe is a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria and the solicitor of the Supreme Court of England and Wales. He holds a PhD in governance and public policy analysis from Maastricht University in the Netherlands, where he teaches part-time. Please welcome, for his first experience at the platform, Dr. Joe Abba.
Good morning. There is a kingdom called Wazobia. Wazobia is a kingdom of 36 villages with an Eze Wazobia and 36 Igwes. The current Eze Wazobia was touted as a strong man. Wazobians like strong men. He was perceived as being so strong that he was called Ebubedike, the warrior whose aura alone is enough to defeat his opponents without him needing to lift a finger. Some called it body language at the time. Eze Wazobia has done well in some areas. He's done well in infrastructure. But there's no security to use it with. There are no cowries in circulation, no lights, no petrol, no jobs. Wazobia is blessed by the gods with very many people who can sing very well. One of them is a true Wizkid. Another one is a rich man's Pekin that really knows how to sing. Yet a third one is a boy whose voice is recognized as being able to burn away all sorrow and get you doing the Atilogu dance. Yet another one invites Wazobians to carry shoulder because they are so blessed. But while all of these young people are singing these sweet melodies, some others are singing, Honorable Minister, off your mic. Who's that shifting in his seat? You. Stop shaking your head. Stop shaking your head. You see, when someone starts to talk about uncomfortable truths, a number of people start to shift in their seats. We Igbo say that old women are usually uncomfortable when dry bones are mentioned. Wait, the forensic audit that the Honorable Minister was being told to off his mic about has now been permanently offed. Since the minister stopped ministering, the forensic audit has gone the way of flesh. Wazobians have promptly forgotten and are focused instead on looking for their daily bread. Wazobia also has great sportsmen and women. One Wazobia woman can jump over hurdles faster than any woman who has ever lived. Her world record was announced to the world. The world record of 12.12 seconds for running 100 meters by a woman is held by Tobi Amusa of Nigeria. But as that announcement was being made, you can also hear another announcement in your head. The world record for constantly collapsing goes to the Nigerian National Grid. I noticed you didn't clap for that one. On October 20, 2020, the youth of Wazobia said, enough is enough. But Eze Wazobia sent Godo to show them who is Eze. Since then, there's been an uneasy calm. However, as our people say, the fact that the water is calm doesn't mean there are no crocodiles swimming underneath. There's a group in the Wazobia kingdom known as Nzuko Miu. They are the ones that make all the laws. They are so powerful that they decide who gets any cowries. Even the Eze cannot get any cowries until they say so. Every year, they share money to any group they like. Every day, they create new agencies to take even more money from Wazobia. Whenever it gets near to the time when a new Eze is to be selected, they will usually put up a show where they will invite a number of the agencies that they themselves have created and start to ask them why they were not remitting money to the country. However, the ones that are dealing with most of the money, the ones managing the selling of our oil, the ones that collect billions of cowries for every canoe that enters into Wazobia, never seem to get invited. The economy of Wazobia is very bad. The Wazobian cowrie has lost 95% of its value in the last 5 years. But there's somebody who's responsible for making the cowries valuable. His job is to govern the central barn where all of Wazobia's yams are kept. But instead of focusing on his job, it was reported that he too wanted to be easy. Indeed, there are those that report on the value of the Wazobian cowries. He went on national television and said, "Come, let's fight." I'm talking about the person whose responsibility is to govern our national barn. Nah, man. Wow, Papa, man, yo. There's insecurity everywhere. Some people in the northeast part of the kingdom want to take Wazobia back to the Stone Ages. Some bandits in the northwest are kidnapping Wazobians for cowries. They now control large parts of northwestern Wazobia and are even said to be demanding their own polling booths when Wazobians come out to choose their next Eze. In the west, they are killing people going to worship. Some of those in the southeast that rightly or wrongly feel that they have been unfairly treated have turned into full-blown terrorists and criminals that are determined to copy the insurgents in northeastern Wazobia. Those in the extreme south are quietly leaking the oil and are not complaining. Now, Wazobia is at the threshold of choosing a new Eze. The people in this market square have said that a better Wazobia is possible. That is difficult to argue against because we Igbo say that when a man says yes, his chi also says yes. Ndi Wazobia have now approached the Eze Mo of Wazobia Kingdom, Moa, to tell them how Wazobia will be better, why it will be better, and what will be better. They want Eze Mo to tell them what the new Eze and his 36 Igwes would expect when they come into office next year. Now, Eze Mo is the mouthpiece of the gods. He is half man, half spirit. He speaks truth to power and fears no mortal. Those seeing him for the first time in the flesh are surprised at his slight physical stature. They expected him to be a heavy-set, fearsome man with a booming voice. Instead, he's only a gentle, slim, tall man. Some have even accused him of being handsome. Falsely. Several times, children of anger have told him, Eze Mo, stand in one place so that we know where to stone you. But he has consistently refused because he has worked with different Ezes all his life. He knows that there's no saint among them. He prefers only to stand on the side of Wazobia. Some say he doesn't speak because he's looking for appointments. He's not. His needs are few, especially as John the Baptist. He only eats locusts and wild honey in the bush. Ezemo has now been invited to address the 36 villages that make up Wazobia at this market square. The fearsome young warriors of Wazobia have finished their war dance. The nubile Wazobia maidens have finished their graceful yet seductive dance of the maidens, the Unkwa Umuabo. As they are finished, the dirty old men in the audience are licking their lips and have successfully tucked their eyes back into the sockets. They turn to each other and say, "Nna, that Mazi Okorafor's daughter, she has very nice elbows." Ezemo brings us a snuff box and taps it gently. He inhales a pinch of snuff and sneezes loudly. Chwa! Everyone says, "Ezemo Igadio, you will live long." Ezemo pauses for effect. His countenance suddenly changes as he casts his big eyes over the entire market square. The market square falls completely silent in anticipation of what he might say. "Wazobia kwenu," he thundered. "Kwenu," he thundered. "Kwezono." Equally dramatically, his voice softens into that of a man that carries a lot of pain in his heart, but says very little. He starts, "When we gather in the moonlit village square, it is not because of the moon. Every man can see that, and every woman can see that from his or her own compound. We gather because it is good as kinsmen to gather together to discuss the issues facing Wazobia and find ways to address them. So on this Independence Day, at this market square, let us pause and applaud the Covenant Church for bringing us together on this Nzukọ Moonlight Gathering. Ndi Wazobia, the gods are angry. A lot of blood has been shed recently. Ethnic groups are killing each other in the north. People are being killed in houses of worship in the west. And brothers are beheading brothers in the southeast to Fiakwa. The first thing the new Eze Wazobia must do is to stop the bloodshed. He must ruthlessly crush the insurgents, the bandits, and the unknown gunmen. He has the technology and the Secret Service know-how to do so. If he doesn't, he must urgently get them. He should seek the help of other kingdoms where necessary. He must have the courage to grind them into dust without thinking about any second term. The current Eze finally has started to motivate our young warriors. They are willing and patriotic. Let us also pause briefly to appreciate the sacrifice they make on a daily basis on behalf of all of us to check the activities of these evil men. The next Eze must maintain and even accelerate this progress that is finally being made. Next, Wazobia is more divided than it has ever been. Eze Wazobia must go back to the National Conference of 2014 or convene his own if for any reason he doesn't like the outcomes of that conference, but we must talk. We must talk in a way that enables us to fashion the Wazobia we like and the kind of Wazobia that we can all sign up for. The tablet of stone that is the supreme law of Wazobia, which some call the Constitution, is no longer fit for purpose. It was based on the presumption that there will always be money and that all we need to worry about is how to share that money equitably. We don't have that money anymore. We have borrowed so much urgent 2K that, like Udoka, Okonkwo's father, and things fall apart, lenders will soon start avoiding us. Our government is too big and wasteful. Eze Wazobia needs to find the courage to stand up to his party and the legislators to cut waste. He must implement the report by Mazi Orosanye. Eze Wazobia cannot stop the legislators from creating yet more agencies, but he can refuse to appoint into them or to set them up. If there are no appointments into them and they are not set up, there will be no cowries for them to waste. The people of Wazobia have nothing to eat because the cost of garri and rice, their staple food, has gone through the thatched roof. Even pomo, ordinary leather that people are boiling to eat, is no longer affordable. The new Eze must bring down the cost of food. There is no power to light up houses or factories. Even the power to perform manly duties at home have been sapped by hunger. The new Eze must focus on power. Without power, Wazobia will continue to suffer arrested development. It can be done. Other kingdoms that have power don't have two heads. Corruption has gone haywire. Body language no longer works. The falcons can no longer hear the falconer. Eneke the bird no longer perches, and the hunter has not found a way to shoot at him without missing. The Eze must now get a bazooka gun to fight corruption, because without that, Wazobia will never develop. Many have asked Eze Mo to tell them to consult the gods and tell them who will become the next Eze of Wazobia. Eze Mo has not yet consulted the gods. He no longer accepts schnapps and white fowl. The gods too are now demanding an oil block. He says to those that ask, we know that tomorrow is pregnant. What we don't know is what he will give birth to. All that Eze Mo will say for now is that the decision lies in the hands of the youth of Wazobia and will depend on whether or not they go out to collect their PVCs and actually come out on election day to vote. Wazobia is currently in a very bad shape. Nothing seems to be working. Worst of all, even the one thing that Wazobians always had, which was hope, now seems to have been lost. The youth of Wazobia are deserting the kingdom in droves. When the new Eze comes in, he should not waste the first 3 years blaming those that went before him, or blaming the youth of Wazobia that are just trying to survive. A lazy farmer blames the cutlass he inherited from his father and the hoe that him and his wife fashioned together in the other room. He was chosen to fix the problems, and fix them he must. He must also provide inspiration and hope, and that is best done by what my ancestor Onyiche Chino Achebe called the challenge of personal example. and that includes using the local hospital next door to this venue rather than going to other kingdoms that have solved their own problems. As things currently stand, our children will still be sitting at home by the time the next Eze comes in because their teachers have been on strike. Nobody seems to care anymore except the poor students. Those in government are still collecting their salaries. Their teachers are doing their consultancy assignments and getting paid. Only the children have nothing doing. Even the crypto they were managing with has now been banned. And worse still, the crypto people say that the bears are currently in the market and nothing is happening. As they pain them, but as they pain us, it is sweet them. The new Eze must bite the bullet and put a permanent end to this 30-year-old nonsense of annual strikes. He must press the reset button and start afresh. The new Eze must stop subsidizing petrol for the urban dwellers. And I say that this subsidy is for the urban dwellers because the rural dwellers have been paying the full price forever. The interstate transporters rely on diesel, which is not subsidized. Rather than subsidize for the few and the rich, the new Eze should look at investing that money in subsidizing solar panels, in encouraging renewable energy to make sure that there is more power for many other people. The new Eze must stop the stealing of our oil. If private petrol stations can have flow meters, the government can certainly have flow meters on our pipelines to check where our oil is being stolen. Civil defense alone cannot guide our pipelines. We need to use drones, run them. Despite all the doom and gloom, Wazobia has some of the brightest and most resilient people on earth. Our young people are leading the world in making it easy to pay for things. They call it fintech. The new government must do everything it can to support the people doing those things that it cannot do by itself without getting in their way. So a better Wazobia is certainly possible. Why do I think so? Well, I'm not one of those that cite small city-states like Singapore, autocracies like China, or small cities ruled by absolute monarchs like Dubai. I will instead cite the example of the Kingdom of Bangladesh. Bangladesh is a poor, populous country just like Wazobia. They have 165 million people. According to the Financial Times, around 1990, 44% of Bangladeshis lived in extreme poverty. The figure for Nigeria today is about 33%. The per capita income of Bangladesh in the 1990s was less than $500, a quarter of Wazobia's current per capita income. Bangladeshi women had an average of 5 children per woman. Today, despite all its problems, the country has been transformed. GDP per capita has increased 8 times. Women now have an average of 2 children each, meaning that more money can be spent on education and that banks have more money to recycle to industry. The proportion of people living in absolute poverty has more than halved. Bangladesh is still poor, still struggles with political unrest, environmental risks, and high levels of corruption, just like Wazobia. But if you look at it in the long term, Wazobians are now, if you look at it in the long term, Bangladesh has embarked on the development journey. It seems to me that Wazobians are wiser now and are no longer expecting a messiah that will come and work a miracle. They just want someone that will start Wazobia on that journey of development. Charlie Robertson, an economist, attributes Bangladesh's development success to 3 factors. And he says they are literacy, electricity, and fertility. He argues that one of the prerequisites for an industrial start is an adult literacy of more than 70%, an electricity supply of more than 300 kilowatts per hour per person, and a fertility rate of less than 3 children. Bangladesh has passed all of these tests. Wazobia is currently failing all of these tests. Wazobia has an adult literacy rate of only 62%. Electricity per capita is reported to be only 150. Fertility rate in Wazobia is 5.32 per woman, which is above the recommended rate. Today, Bangladesh is making progress. However, Mr. Robertson's theory is not infallible. It's always dangerous, you see, to put absolute figures to what may be tipping points. So Malcolm Gladwell, for instance, says you need to practice for 10,000 hours to master a skill. Who says that 9,999 hours will not be enough? However, it is clear that we can make progress if we invest more in education, if we increase our power supply, if we reduce our fertility rates. It can be done if we can find the will. And looking at reducing our fertility rate is a difficult one. There are, of course, drastic ways in which you can do that. But a better way to do that would be through education, through making people see the difference between multiple births and poverty. Hold on. The gods are speaking to Izimo. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, the gods say the time is up. And Izimo must return to the bush now. He must obey or risk suffering death beneath his waist. Tufiako. But as he starts to go back to his stool, the people in the market square are chanting, Ezemo, Ezemo.
Wow. 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 Please, another round of applause for our Ezemo. Like they say, what is understood need not be explained. Although it's the kind of speech that you listen to again and you're like, oh, that's what he meant.
Thank you so much for your patience to watch from the beginning to the end. I hope you have learned something from the video you have just watched. The video you have just watched is to bring information to your doorstep and for educational purpose. It is not to demonize anybody. Let us watch continuously and see who can be able to make a sense out of every nonsense we are seeing. We must continue. We move. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they say. They will kill us. We will kill them. At the end of the day, Biafra is here. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you and remain blessed. Bye-bye. See you again.